You're listening to the Communications Business Advisor podcast, the podcast for communications professionals in the corporate world who are committed to advancing their work and our field's reputation as critical business advisors that are not only invited to the decision-making table, but are required there. I'm your host, Tara McDonagh. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Communications Business Advisor podcast. In the last episode, I spoke about the risk in our field of slipping backwards with the role that we've made so much progress on to be treated and to act as advisors, not order takers. Those of you who follow me for some time, follow my content, know that I call this communications waitressing, and that is not the vibe that we are looking for in the future. So I warned that we're at risk of a backslide, and if you haven't listened to it, I encourage you to take a minute and listen in, because now we're going to take that concept to the next level. Because we need to not only fight the backslide, which is our next big challenge in this field, but we need to step into getting more. Some people call this staying out of scarcity mindset and stepping into abundance mindset. And that might be a little too woo for some of you listening, so I'm going to break it down in a way that isn't so abstract or new age, as they said in the 90s. Basically, here's the idea. It's one thing to ensure that you hold your seat at the table as an advisor, to keep your job, to keep your team intact, even as your instincts kick in to protect yourself, and that might mean fighting the instinct to be more of a yes man or woman than you ever have in the past. A reminder on this once again, don't do it. Listen to the last episode again if you need to, and listen to it again if you need to again. If you become that yes man or yes woman, you continue to say yes and people please, you'll hurt yourself, your team, the company, and our field. So it's one thing to fight that feeling of scarcity, that feeling that things around you are getting smaller and you might just have to do what you have to do to protect your job. But it's another to step into abundance, to go get more when everything and everyone around you feels like it's contracting, getting smaller, being asked to cut back. And I recognize that that can feel near impossible for some of you right now, especially those of you who are surrounded by executives who are in chaos mode, which can feel a whole lot like knee-jerk reactions versus thoughtful responses. And I'm not being Pollyanna-ish here. You can do this. You can get more in a time of less. As a client of mine said the other day, this is the show. This is what we do. And she's right. It's time to show up and shine, to show everyone around you, including yourself, why you are an advisor, not an order taker, not a comms waitress, and why this function deserves investment, not contraction. Because here's the thing. We're the ones who bring calm to chaos. We are the ones who sound the alarms when no one else sees the fire. And we're ready with the fire hoses when people are starting the fires unnecessarily. I know you know what I'm talking about, right? And we can prepare people around us for the fire. We can tell the executives that the fire is coming and to be ready for it and what to do about it. We can even show them where the fire extinguishers are. But when they see it, they still freak out. It's as if we never told them that it was coming. So this calm and chaos thing, the reasoning things out and coming up with helpful solutions, not reacting but responding, it is a skill. And it's a skill that's really simple to us because we see the forest and the trees. We see the detail that can impact the whole and the whole itself. And that, my friends, is a skill that is wildly unique. I don't think those of you comms leaders out there know just how unique it is. Again, what is simple to us is not for others. It's like talking to an engineer who thinks that what they build is pretty simple. They don't know their own brilliance, just like you don't know yours. So back to this scarcity and abundance concept, In a time when everything feels chaotic, when there are tariff concerns and market tumblings one day or two, and then a pause and a bounce back the next, when we're in this tug of war between preparing for the worst and then getting what feels like a stay of execution, when people around us are laid off and we're told the next day that we're actually not doing so bad financially, when there's chaos all around, that's where we can shine if we lean into what we know. If we focus in on our critical impact in this moment. But as I've said before, it can feel really scary to ask for more in either scarcity or chaos. When there are cuts to staff, when your company doesn't make its numbers, when there are fears and war rooms related to executive orders that might impact the business. How can you even maintain what you have, let alone ask for more in an environment like that? Well, I want to remind you of a few things about this, starting with money. Your salary, your teams, your entire department budget, it is a rounding error in the grand scheme of company financials. Take a giant step back, and you'll see this. Next, unlike others in the company, know that you are excellent at reading the room. So you know when it's a good time to ask for more and when it's not. And right now, it probably doesn't feel like the right time. Because even though you know that your budget is nothing compared to others, you still feel like you need to be the good doobie and show that you're willing to take one for the team right now. Because you're reading the room. I recognize this thinking, and it is natural, but I'm also going to challenge you on it. There are some departments that probably do need to be trimmed in every organization, and there are some that are likely able to take a cut and do less without a massive company impact. And this part is important. There are other business areas who require additional investment right now. So take yourself out of the equation. Imagine that instead of being you, this comms leader that you are, imagine you're Warren Buffett. Yeah, like the big business leader, the one that everyone admires, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, who said, quote, "It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently." End quote. Okay. So we're role-playing here. You're Warren Buffett now. And you know that the corporate communications function, PR, internal comms, public affairs, executive comms, crisis comms, you know that function, it's about reputation. And when you think about it, Corp Comms is the only business area that calls out company reputation, protecting and advancing it, as a critical, absolutely critical area of responsibility. The only one, the only business area who claims that responsibility. So at times like these, when the world is doing what the world is doing right now, is that a time to invest in reputation management or cut it? Let me say that again. In times like these, when the world is doing the chaos that the world is doing, is that a time to invest in company reputational protection and advancement, or is it time to cut it? That's a rhetorical question, by the way. Feel free to use it with your executives when they ask you why you came back to finance, who asked you to trim budget, and instead you requested more. Now, ideally, you did your legwork with whomever you need to before that budget submission to socialize your thinking and your plan. So, hint here, go do that first. But it is explainable. And it's not selfish. And that, my friends, that business case for more, that's the vibe that we're putting out right now. That is what we are commanding on behalf of our companies. More. Not less. More. Do you risk seeming tone deaf with this request? Yeah, but not if you position it correctly. Not if you talk to the right people about it in advance. Not if you're honest about your reasoning. and not if you have the right relationships internally. Again, take your own needs and own desires out of the equation. Look at it from what's right for the business right now. What is right for the business? Not looking at it as a communicator, but as a business person who knows the impact that comms has. Or putting it in a different way, there are times when cuts to, let's say, engineering make sense because there's a need to invest more in marketing an existing product, let's say. There are times when cuts to sales make sense because, let's say, you're selling more through a reseller channel than you thought you would be directly, as an example. There are also times when investing in corporate communications makes a ton of sense, even as other business areas contract. And right now, that's one of those times, my friends. So first, I'm going to say this one a little harsher than I mean it. So get ready and know that my intentions here are pure. First, get over yourselves. I mean that with love. It's not about what's right for you. It's about what's right for the business. And more cases than not, investment in comms is required, not cuts to comms. Second, in times like this, times of instability, we often hear people talking about cuts, risks, shortfalls, and we are deeply attuned to those around us. We have to for our jobs. So we hear it, and we think that's what it's supposed to mean for us too. But that is not always true, my friends. It's just not. During COVID, so many businesses were negatively impacted. Think of restaurant and tourist industries, for example. I would not want to be working in the hospitality industry during COVID. But others, like let's say web video conferencing companies, as an obvious example, they boomed. The same is true of certain skills. Chefs were not in high demand with restaurants shuttered, but internal comms, they flourished as businesses tried to figure out how to communicate with employees in this new and remote environment that they'd never had to deal with before. So what makes you think this isn't a time where more is needed to invest in your team to benefit the company? Why not now? Before others can believe it, you have to believe it. And then once you do, come on back for more. If you haven't already, sign up for my Level Up Be Extra emails. I dig deeper into the topics addressed here on the podcast, and it's content that I don't share anywhere else. So get in on it now if you want to hear more. You can sign up at the website, taramcdonagh.com. The link is in the show notes, and yes, it's free. In the meantime, keep advising, my friends. Always keep advising. If you're interested in working with me to advance your work and your team's reputation as critical business advisors, never order takers, check out taramcdonagh.com. Thanks for listening to the Communications Business Advisor podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please leave a rating or a review. It helps people find us, and we can't ignite a movement without sharing the message. See you next time, where we'll continue to do the work to elevate our field's reputation and elevate the careers of the people in it. I created Raise the Tide to help elevate our field and the women in it. It's part community, part coaching, part professional development, and part mentorship. It encompasses all of these things because it takes all of these things to rise in your career. I asked a few Raise the Tide crew members to share what their experiences have been like in the program, and here's what they had to say. What's one major impact Raise the Tide has had on you?
It's so important to have community across any part of our lives, and that's one way that Raise the Tide has had a major impact for me.
I'm at a time in my career where I'm looking to grow both from a business advisor and personally. And what I will say is I'm not necessarily getting what I need in terms of coaching and growth internally. And that's where Raise the Tide comes in.
Raise the Tide has given me the confidence to go and advocate for myself and never allow status quo and be always pushing for more and knowing your value and your worth and not being afraid to advocate for that.
If you're interested in this program, head on over to taramcdonagh.com and complete the Raise the Tide form. A rising tide raises all ships, but we're not the ships. Together, we're the force of the tide, raising the ships for our entire industry.